said, someone said to me on Insta when they asked where to learn, etc. I mentioned Jason. I mentioned you and Jason, and the reply was, yeah, they don't seem to make enough percentage for me. It seems low. That's pretty accurate. I think if you ask the majority of people that I consider to be good traders, that's a pretty common occurrence, I think. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, we're fighting against the grain here, right? Jason said this in his Always Free podcast, I believe the latest episode, where he talked about always being in the minority, right? He said he spent his whole life always being in the minority. And for some people, that's very tough, right? To go against the grain, to go against the flow of the river, right? To go against what all your friends are doing. That's very tough. Until you realize the fact that most people in this world are not successful. Or not successful to the level in which you plan on being successful. And when you can wrap your mind around that if I have 100 people and maybe 20 people are at the level of success that I want to be at and 80 people aren't, it makes it a lot easier to say, okay, well, maybe doing the quote unquote wrong thing or thinking the wrong way is actually the right way. And then you kind of embrace it. You kind of embrace the devil's advocate role, to say. But yeah, I mean, knowing psychology, knowing how the human brain works, the first thing you hear that, you're not making enough, that tells you what the main focus is on, right? The main focus is on money. If your main focus is on money, you're never going to be profitable in trading until you change that focus. I spoke with a trader yesterday on our platform who said, Akil, how can I develop a system where I never lose? And then I tried to convince him that every system loses and taking losses is okay. And it's part of trading. The key is risk management. Keep your losses small. And he said, yeah. I just don't want everyone to lose. I did a really, really fired up podcast about it. I don't know if I want to release it. I might have been mean. I don't think I was, but I might have been mean. But it was one of those things where it was like this fixed mindset, like, yeah, I know, all traders take losses, some of the best traders of all time only win between 20 and 40% of the time, but just teach me a strategy where I don't ever lose, because I don't ever want to lose a trade. I mean, the only strategy I can think of is, you get a very, very large account, trade very, very, very small. You place a single trade and just buy and hold until it gets positive, and hope you don't, hope if it goes against you that it becomes positive enough, before you die. Maybe. I don't know. But there seemed to be no bend or movement in the mindset. So it's like, you say to yourself, this trader is probably never going to be successful. Naomi says, yeah, the funny thing is that so many think you can't be successful financially and spend time with your family. You can have both. Yeah. Sorry, I missed the first question. Naomi says, probably a good idea to stop following accounts that claim to make 100% a week. Probably. Yep. They should probably do that. Shay says, you can't define what success means to them. Does success mean financial, or does it mean that you can spend more time with your kids? And that's when Naomi responded, yeah, funny thing is that so many people think you can't be successfully financially and spend time with your family. You can have both. Yeah, you certainly can have both. I have both. It's tough. It's tough. There's a work-life balance, and one can make the case that if you want to optimize your success, right? If you want to optimize anything, it's going to take sacrificing anything else, just in general, right? If you want to optimize your success in business, right? Maybe you have to sacrifice time with your family. Well, if you want to spend time with your family, You have to sacrifice maximizing your business, right? It's just a balance, right? You can have both. It depends on what you want your balance to be, right? Look at professional athletes, right? Look at professional athletes. Do you think they don't sacrifice time with their family on the road, practicing, playing in competitions every week? Yeah, of course they do. You don't think they sacrifice time with their friends? You don't think they sacrifice being able to do the small things, right? If you're a very, very famous athlete, guess what? LeBron James probably just can't walk to the mall by himself. You got to sacrifice some of these little things, yeah. But on the other side of that sacrifice, you're optimizing something else. So it's all balance. All balance. Avery says, I was like that years ago, not realizing losing is part of trading. Toss your money in a vending machine, you'll always win a prize. Yeah, there you go. I think most sacrifice time, though, without realizing it, just because you are in the same house as your kids. If you're busy doing something else at the same time, didn't even spend time with family. Yeah, that's the Gary V. That's the Gary V approach. You a Gary V fan, Naomi? Gary Vaynerchuk. Yeah, that's his thing. He takes a bad rap. Some people dislike him because he is a workaholic. I know I've had conversations with Jason Greystone where he's like, he really disagrees with kind of Gary V's not method, but philosophy on just work himself to death. Yeah. But one thing that he does is he optimize when it's, people will say this, right? Gary V works a lot. And, he's working, early mornings, he's working late night. He only takes a minimum amount of vacation days a year. But when he's home, at least that's what, I don't follow him home, obviously, not all the time, at least, only on my stalking days. But when he's home, no work. Doesn't take work home with him. It's strictly family time. It's no cell phone. It's no this, no that. It's dedicated time with his family. And it may only be a few hours a day. It may be 3 hours at night before they go to bed. Or maybe a few vacation days a year. But that time is optimized with the family. And you'll see people that get a bad rap where they're like, well, I spend 5 hours a day with my kids. Well, do you? Because if you're on the phone checking Instagram, if you're sneaking back into your computer checking trades, that's not really 5 hours, right? It goes back to the whole, when I did the thing about the Pomodoro technique. Do you guys remember that? Talk about the Pomodoro technique of efficiency. It was also in that podcast I did with I don't know what it was called. I should know. I'm sorry. Cryptography, whatever. But the Pomodoro technique is basically, you split your time up. There's a timer, a tomato timer, and you tune it for 25 minutes. And you have these different sessions of 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes of break, 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes of break. And the key of doing that is this, right? During that 25 minutes of work, you're supposed to be completely dedicated on work. No distractions. I know for me, it's like, phone goes off every 5 minutes. Email, Twitter, Instagram, something, right? Don't check it, right? I told myself I can only check my phone during the 5-minute break, right? So that 25 minutes is fully dedicated to work. And dude, I can get more work done in that 25 minutes than I would in an hour if I was doing my normal kind of like do one thing and then like check this email, read it, respond, and then go back to doing it, right? So it's not about the amount of time, right? You can be like, oh, Akil, you spend an hour doing work. No, not really. I probably spend about 15 minutes of that hour actually working. But I tell myself it's an hour. So you get the same thing like Naomi said with people at home where it's like, I spent 5 hours with my kid today. No, you didn't. You probably spent an hour with them. Now you spent 5 hours in the house, but you weren't actually with them. And I think that's the biggest misconception, where it's like you separate it. When Gary Vee works, he works, and he works very, very hard. And that same commitment to him working very hard, going all in, no wasted time, from what it sounds, from what he says, he takes that same commitment home. Whereas like when it's family, It's strictly family. And he's maximizing that time with his family. So I don't have a problem with it. I like it. I got a taste of that every once in a while, like when my phone broke. I'm not as good as I need to be, but I try. But yeah, it's all about balance, and balance is to each his own. I never try to judge anyone on how they live. Right? If you want to spend a minute with your kid a day, who am I to judge? If that's the best darn minute of your kid's life and they're very happy and satisfied with that, and what you're doing on the other part of your day, they're reaping the benefits from, that's on you. I mean, who are we to judge how other people live their life? It's all about what's comfortable for us. People look at me and it's like, I tell you, like, we don't take vacations, and people judge. Akil, you need to take a vacation. No, I don't. I'll take one when I'm ready. I took a vacation last year when we went to London, turned that into a vacation. The last one before that was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, to Puerto Rico, like talking about like multiple day vacations, right? Don't judge me. Why do I need to take a vacation? Can anyone tell me that? What would you say to a person when you say they need to take a vacation? Why? What is the reason? So I can take Instagram pics? If travel was a passion, what if travel isn't a passion of mine? What if I'm not very passionate about traveling? Not the same value, right? What are other reasons, right? They are out of balance if they need a vacation. Some people look at vacations as a chance to reset, to have leisure. I reset every day. You know what I do? I go work out. I go for a run and clear my mind, right? I reset every day. Right? The point is, we can't tell someone how to live their lives, right? You may value a vacation more than someone else. When we did that conversation, I forgot what podcast episode it was, when I gave you guys a choice, it was like spend 5 years shadowing the wealthiest man in the world versus $1 million right now versus something else, or versus like free vacations for the rest of your life, right? My business partner, he chose vacations for the rest of his life because him and his family really value that. They value seeing the world. Me, I don't want to say I can care less. I like seeing the world, but it's not the same value as shadowing someone for 5 years. Shadowing someone for 5 years isn't the same value as $1 million right now, or whatever the other answer was. I think if I remember correctly, I had no interest in shadowing someone for 5 years, right? No interest, right? There are better things I can do with 5 years of my life. Now, does that mean it's a bad idea? No, I'd love to shadow someone for a week. Yeah, but 5 years, a little too much. I get bored. So to each his own. To each his own. It's all about our value, and it's up to us to live our lives and find a balance in the way we see fit. And that balance changes. I am not as dedicated to trading as I was before I started teaching, right? I told you guys my value has shifted from trading me personally and worrying about my P&L to helping you guys out. I'm not as focused on my business as I was before I had kids, because that takes time. Before, it was just, me and my wife, spend time with the wife, and then the rest of the time work on my businesses. Now I have two other elements in there where it's like, okay, I got to spend time with my wife and spend time with him and spend time with him, right? And in all honesty, business becomes secondary in a sense as far as values. So it changes, and that's okay. So let's take our break. We'll come back. We'll look at dollar yen. Sorry about that, George. But I think it was a good conversation. Made the brain wheel spin. We'll come back. We'll do dollar yen. We'll scroll around the markets and continue our trading day.